Okay, basically this captures the screen as well as my voice. As I said, you won't be subjected to having to see me. So anyways, and I absolutely don't like listening to my own voice, so I will never go back and check what's been recorded. So unless you point out that there's a problem, I won't know it. So if it doesn't get recorded, you'll have to let me know. So anyways, so what do we do now? How do we set it up? We have another 15 minutes. So we've set up the environment now. What you should be seeing is this is the MVC web application, and then this is the test project. Okay, so it has this what's called a unit test. We'll get into that shortly. But initially, we are going to work inside of the web application. And can anyone tell me why this is called an MVC application? How many of you have heard of MVC prior? No? Okay. Can somebody be really very, I don't know what to call it, very sharp, insightful, and tell me what do you see here that indicates something related to MVC? Okay. Yeah, model view controller. So M stands for model, and V for view, and C for controller. This has become the so for designing applications, MVC. Well, this is sort of the macro level view. Model view controller has become sort of the default now for it's become not only for web applications but also mobile applications. So this is web apps. It was started in the open source world. What's the most popular web application development open source environment? Anyone? Has anyone worked with Ruby? No? Has anyone heard of this? Well, this is one of the things we have struggled with in our MIS program because we have such a limited number of courses. We decided to go with the Microsoft stack because we use Visual Studio, SQL Server, and so on. Dr. Pease is the only one who's opted for an open source option. Well, it used to be open source. I'm not sure. What's the open source option he opted for in 351? He went with the open source Unix version, and he opted for MySQL, which used to be open source. I'm no longer sure it's open source. Who owns MySQL now? No. Oracle owns it. Well, for several years, MySQL was open source, but I don't know what its current status is. Anyways, Ruby on Rails is the open source, the most common of popular open source web development environment. Microsoft copied it and came up with ASP.NET MVC. So this. And in the if you're doing mobile app development, it would be iOS, Android would be the two. So I'll just say mobile apps. You would be looking at iOS and Android, and all of these use MVC. So it's not just confined to web applications, but we'll obviously get much more into it as we go along. But for now, in the next few minutes, let's try to design our find Fibonacci. We are going to do this method, since we are going to practice entirely an object-oriented approach. We are going to create a class, and we'll call this class like something that's that indicates, well, we just don't want to do just Fibonacci. We might do various forms of calculations. So I'll call it something like calculator class. And we want to create this inside of a class. If you want to do some work, all the work inside of a class is done by means of what? Methods. So we are going to create a method. Okay, so right now we are doing, what are we in the process of doing? We said we want to come up with a user requirement. Our user requirement is something that can find us or provide us with a Fibonacci series term, right, or value for a particular term. So the user will say, we can either, the simple thing will be to just come up with, like if I said, give me the 7th term, it gives an output of 8. But the more complex version would be, give me the first 7 terms. Right? Which means I need to give 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Okay, but we'll start with the simpler version, which is just coming up with that last value alone. And then we will extend it to giving all of the values. Okay, so how do we design that? So what we'll call the method, usually try to give a name that represents what it is doing. So what are we trying to do? Find Fibonacci term, or what would you call find Fibonacci number. In this case, we are just trying to find one particular number. So if not, I would have called it find Fibonacci sequence or series. Right? Okay, so this is the name of the method. One of the things you should be familiar with is what's called the signature of the method. What constitutes the signature of a method? So signature of a method, that's fundamental for designing a method. So you have a method name. What else is involved in the signature of a method?
In Java, you have to, I don't work much sure, but you have to do that whole like title line.
Yeah. So again, because Java and C# are so close, and most object-oriented languages, you can just think of it. Don't think of it as a Java method, but think of it as an object-oriented method. So what is it conceptually that? So we said method name. What else is there?
Type.
What type? There are multiple types. Okay, the data type. There are at least 2 different data types.
Well, for this one, you would want integers.
No, when I say data types, well, data types are going to be many more than 2. So as Liv pointed out, integer is one. What are the other? String. What else? Okay. Okay, bool tells you what? True or false is just 2 values usually, but sometimes you can bring in Is it always two values? Can it have more than two values? What? Yes. What's the third? Well, it's actually in C in the object-oriented languages. It's usually just true, false, but you could have a third value, which is, let's say you don't know whether it's true or false. You can leave it as a null value, but you'll have to do something special to. So it's basically you're saying I don't know whether it's true or false. Okay, so these are some data types, but this is not what I meant by saying that in the signature there is more than one data type. Eric? Okay, the return type is a data type, so you'll have, where would you indicate the return type? Okay, so the return data type before the method name, and where else do you have a data type? Somebody other than Eric? Okay, well, I've not asked you, that's Ashley. Okay. Okay, very good. As Ashley just pointed out, parameters, how do you indicate parameters? Where do you indicate them? Somebody other, let's see, since Ashley brought it, no, actually she's already shown me that she understands, so I'll come across here. Let's see, I need to keep track. Who has not responded at all? I've not heard you today.
So when you're setting the parameters, usually you would set, like you would use a data type, and then you would name.
Okay. Okay, but what is the first thing you'll have to do to indicate that there is a, well, this is a parameter, what? Yeah. Parentheses. So if you don't have parentheses there, well, every method needs to have a parentheses, but if you're having parameters, they have to appear within these parentheses, okay? So now can somebody elaborate on it? Maybe I'll go back to, what's her name again?
It's Taylor.
Taylor.
I don't know. I'm in 352 right now.
You're right now?
351. That's it.
Well, when do you want to graduate? Well, you'll have to talk to me after class, because if you're are you taking 352, 353, and 450 this semester?
No, not 353.
Okay. If you don't have programming background, this course, you shouldn't take this, because it's you will be doing a disservice to yourself. My philosophy is you have to understand to be able to use it effectively. Anyways, we'll talk. But so basically, let me go to somebody else. Is there anyone else who's currently taking 352? You are.
Yeah.
But why are you taking it if you're taking so many programming courses?
You have to.
No, you don't have to. You can talk to the instructor.
That doesn't let me schedule for 353.
But if you can, one of our students, Preston, who's in 452, he made a case to me, and I said, okay, if you know it, if you've done extensive programming, you don't have to. Anyways, but coming back to this parameters, we have only 3 minutes left here. The expectation is once we discuss this design, you go and try out actually inside of your program doing this. So what's inside this? The parameter, okay, TJ? Okay, the data type for the parameter. So parameter, data type, and what else will be there? Okay, the parameter name. And this, you could have multiple of these, so which means I will have to say 1, so and then 2 and so on. So this can keep going on almost endlessly. I think the limit is somewhere in the hundreds. So 1, 2, and so on. Each one separated by a comma. And finally, there's something else that needs to be there. What's that something else? Yeah. Okay, what does that mean? No, that's not. What's it called? Public, private. What's it called? Yeah, the Hallie? Yeah, the access type. What is the access that you're willing to provide? Is it, for most methods, what's going to be the access type? It's going to be public. So you want to create your method public, whatever the return type, and if you have any parameters. So apply this very generic signature that's set up into your actual signature for this method. So that's the first thing you want to do. And then the second thing is to actually start filling out the code. You can obviously find some of this code online, but if you take code from anywhere, what do you think I'm going to ask you to do? Explain it. So I'll have you come up here to explain. So if you have something on that you bring, I expect you to understand it. So just, there's no point blindly copying stuff. You have to understand. You can use your friends' resources, anything, but my main issue is you have to understand. And I will call upon you to come up here next time. Okay, so that's about it for now. Work on this, design it, to think of the design. So that's one part. The other, obviously, is your project proposal. So that's about it.